So Bronson Xerri has been in the rumour mill for the last 24 hours, and it has caught all of us by complete surprise. It started yesterday afternoon, so around Saturday at 4 p.m, there were lots of rumours circulating online that Bronson Xerri had requested an immediate release from the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. Now, there was no credible sources after those rumours. It was just people posting things online, seemingly for the sake of creating rumours. But then, not long after, Dean Ritchie and Brent Reid from the Daily Telegraph had both made pieces and had made comments related to Bronson Xerri and the Bulldogs Centre's motivations and current feeling around the Belmore club. Brent Reid particularly went as far as to say that Bronson Xerri had requested a release because the Bulldogs had informed him that they wouldn't be able to extend his contract beyond 2026, seeking an immediate release in order to find a longer-term home for himself. Phil Gould then threw cold water on the rumour mill, releasing on X that he doesn't know where the rumours had come from. He had spoken to Bronson and his manager yesterday afternoon and both denied requesting a release. Both of them were not sure where the media comments had come from or the rumours had come from, and that he would be having breakfast with Bronson this morning, being Sunday, to clarify the situation. Now, we haven't heard Phil Gould make any comment, and no journalists come out with any comments further. Late last night, there was further rumours that Bronson Xerri was linked with a swap deal at the Penrith Panthers with Isaac Tago, who is struggling to break the first grade squad, Paul Alamotti, who was a Bulldogs junior and centre, now being preferred for the Penrith Panthers. So today, there's been a little bit of progress. Danny Weidler from Channel 9 breaking a little bit of news and throwing some further context on the situation on Bronson Xerri. Danny Weidler had confirmed that it reinforced in fact that Bronson had not been seeking to request a release from his contract, but that he had been informed on Saturday morning that Bronson Xerri is to be dropped to New South Wales Cup for the Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. Now, that is big news. Now, Danny Weidler goes further to say that Bronson was informed that it was form-related. I have to say, I do feel a little bit for Bronson in this situation. So we saw in the trial match that Bronson was deployed at right centre, which is not his natural position. It's against the Newcastle Knights. And then won against the Dragons in Las Vegas. Once again, we saw Bronson Xerri playing on the right-hand side, Stephen Crichton on the left-hand side. And further to say, Jacob Kiraz, who deployed at right wing for all of last season, was moved to the left, and Montoya playing on the right. So a little bit of tactics from Cameron Ciraldo, or was this all part of a grander plan? It's really difficult to say what happens next, but let's try and go into. So what happens now? I don't think Bronson's going to get his release. I think that the Bulldogs clearly have some concerns around Bronson Xerri and think that there is an opportunity to upgrade. Let's not also forget the halves situation, because Matt Burton is someone who we've seen play left centre for the Penrith Panthers in a premiership winning side in 2022 before coming over to the Bulldogs, and in fact played at centre for the Bulldogs last season during the State of Origin period, where we saw Sexton and Galvin playing in the halves, and we also saw Matt Burton move to left centre once Toby Sexton came into the side for the semi-final against the Penrith Panthers. So what next? Who replaces Bronson Xerri in the short term, but then in the long term? I think it's safe to say that Bronson Xerri will not be a Bulldog beyond 2026. That apparently now seems quite clear. Where the biggest question mark is, I think there are three options that could look at who replaces Bronson Xerri for the Bulldogs. Let's start with option one. Matt Burton. Matt Burton moves to left centre. Stephen Crichton moves back to right centre. That one seems to be the fans' choice and seems to be the easiest choice to make following all of this. Matt Burton, as mentioned earlier, has played left centre. There's the concern that you remove his greatest asset, which is his kicking game. But we've seen Latrell Mitchell gets last tackle options for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I see no reason why the Bulldogs couldn't do something similar with Matt Burton. We saw Stephen Crichton kick a field goal to secure the Bulldogs 2 points in Las Vegas against the Dragons. There's no reason why Matt Burton couldn't continue to have that sort of impact from left centre. The concern with moving Matt Burton, though, is, to me, defensively. I don't think that he is now familiar with left centre. It's been 4 years since he's played left centre with any level of regularity. And we saw him exposed against the Penrith Panthers in the semi-final. Paul Alamoti scoring a hat-trick. Lots of tries going down that left edge. Matt Burton was found out defensively. I also don't think Matt Burton offers you a great level of strike as a left centre anymore. I think he offers you versatility. I think he can absolutely do a job. I think he's a good hole runner. He's got good footwork. He's got a strong running game. But I don't think he's now a natural centre. I don't think he's someone who can get on the outside of his centre. I think he can look to get on the inside of his centre. But that will then make him quite easy to read defensively if you secure him in that position. So I think that that's a little bit of a concern. Option number 2. Some people might not think of this one. Jacob Kiraz moves to centre. I think you could see Jacob Kiraz move to right centre. Stephen Crichton stays on the left, and then you've got an option of Jonathan Su'A moving to the right wing, for example. You've also got Rinakama, who could also move to the right wing. The Bulldogs have enough depth in terms of the wing areas that if you wanted to move Jacob to right centre, that could work. People forget Jacob Kiraz made his debut as a right centre, and he's quite lethal with the ball, Jacob Kiraz, as a centre. I think you could utilise his offloading ability, particularly in one-on-one situations. I think Jacob's got the ability to beat a man inside and outside, having that perfect blend of power and speed. But the concern with Jacob Kiraz is when he plays right centre, he does seem to be defensively found out at times. But that is something that can be taught. He's on the younger side compared to Matt Burton. He is someone who has come through playing a combination of centre, wing and fullback. So I think that if you give Kiraz enough time, he could become quite a lethal option at right centre. And I dare say that having Stephen Crichton and Jacob Kiraz as centre options is a really exciting prospect for the Bulldogs. And I'm comfortable with the Bulldogs wing options that they won't really lose too much in that area, whether it be Jonathan Su'A or Rinakama. I think there's a lot of there's high thoughts on both players, but I think Jonathan Su'A seems to have the highest ceiling of those two wingers. So I could see that being an option heading into the rest of 2026 and beyond. And option 3 is we're getting cold water thrown over our eyes. Here's an option for you. Bulldogs go to the market. They look to bring in Zach Lomax in 12 months. Yes, he signed a 2-year deal with the Western Force, but I think there's every chance you see Zach Lomax again. Let's not forget Parramatta will want a centre. They signed Brian Kelly. With all due respect to Brian Kelly, he's not a like-for-like replacement in terms of the calibre that Zach Lomax offers, but I think Bronson Xerri gets you closer in terms of quality. And is a definite first-grade choice for the Parramatta Eels. Could the Bulldogs look at an option that sees Bronson Xerri going to the Parramatta Eels next year and would then give the Bulldogs permission to secure Zach Lomax? That could be an option. Or we go back to the market, and in fact it might be Isaac Tago, who finds himself on the Panthers extended bench or playing New South Wales Cup. This is a player who is a premiership winner, probably a little bit more agile, a little bit more mobile than Bronson Xerri, and I think that's where Bronson Xerri falls down a little bit. And also, Bronson is a specialist left centre. I think the way he plays with the left-hand carry, the right-hand fend, he's quite straight line as well. He doesn't really have a lot of footwork, Bronson Xerri, and I think that hurts him a little bit. I think there is an opportunity to upgrade, but that's the key point. If you're going to move him on, you need to make sure that you bring in something better. So option 3 being for 2027 or beyond, that the Bulldogs bring a player in who replaces Bronson. And I could see that being Isaac Tago or Zach Lomax, which would be a clear upgrade. I think Isaac Tago is a solid first grader, has benefited from having great service inside of him. It's not to say he's not a good player. I think he is. But you want to see a good strike option being bought, and I don't think Isaac Tago quite offers that. So there you have it. There's where we are today. I guess we'll watch this story as it develops. If you did like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It does help us a lot. Subscribe if you're new. All that good stuff. Enjoy your rugby league and get out of here.